All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Today's Born by the Sea Year Pans event. My name is Joe Goreski. I'll be your host for today. We're really excited for today's virtual field trip. We always love when we take a trip to Toronto, Ontario to the Aquarium of Canada. And today's is going to be an awesome event. We have Sam joining us as our education at the aquarium. So they're going to be talking to us a little bit about the eagle rays. We're going to get to see the eagle rays in action, doing some feeding, learn all about their ecology and the work that the aquarium does with them. So Danielle, it's so great to have you joining us live today. We've got an awesome group of classrooms from across North America. We're looking forward to meeting the rays and, of course, firing away with a little Q&A.
Excellent. So as Joe was saying, my name is Danielle, and in the water you can see Sam. Sam, give us a wave. There we go. So Sam has a very important job today. He is feeding these lovely spotted animals. They are called spotted eagle rays. We only have 3 in this habitat, and we feed them during our dive shows every day because they steal food from the other stingrays. So we have to keep them well occupied. They are very intelligent animals. So our spotted eagle rays will come over to Sam when they're hungry, and they have to do a special task in order to get their food. So Sam, can you show us your pipe? So this is his pipe. It's just a simple elbow joint for a regular pipe, and we stick it in the water, and the rays have to come by and touch their nose to it, just like this one here. This is our youngest male, and then he gets a food reward. So this is part of our enrichment training here, and they will come and get their food reward, and then they'll swim away, and then they'll come back for another one. So if you look inside the bucket that Sam has, there is division. So each of the different stingrays has a different amount of food they should eat during each feeding. So the one right in front of us here, the larger one, that's the large female, and the one just to the right, this one here, that's the large male. That's how you can tell the 3 apart. I'm really good at telling them apart, and so is Sam, but if you're just watching now, it's probably not the easiest to tell the 3 spotted eagle rays apart. However, you're not the ones feeding them. Sam is, so he's an expert. It looks like today they have definitely live clam. I can see that. Can you show us a live clam?
So today on the menu, we got some bonito.
And they have bonito and tuna. Oh, sorry. Bonito, which is like tuna, and live clams. The shells in there are actually alive. They're clams. And the spotted eagle rays will crush them between their teeth, and the shells will become part of the rocks on the bottom of the habitat. So he's going to continue to feed them when they come around and do their task. The reason we do this is mainly so that they don't steal the food from the other stingrays in the habitat. They are very intelligent, but also it's to give them more to their life in captivity so that we can keep them well entertained. They're pretty intelligent. They can actually recognize themselves in a mirror, which is a little different from most of the other animals we have here, which can't. Even your own household cat probably can't recognize themselves in a mirror until they are trained to do so. So these ones are very intelligent. Now we only have 3 spotted eagle rays because they do get fairly large. Our 3 are young, so they do have a little bit more growing to do. The largest one and the oldest one is this female that Sam has right here. The next oldest is the male, the larger male, and then the youngest one is the smaller male, which he'll come up in a moment. The smallest one is actually the only one that is from another aquarium. The other 2 that you can see right now are from the wild. So I can see the little boy coming up. He's right there in the middle. I'll just point to him, this one. So that's our littlest one, and it was actually born at one of our other aquariums. He was born at Gatlinburg. And then he moved here a couple years ago with the other 2. And they will continue their lives here because then we can get to know them a little better. In the wild, we don't really know too much about spotted eagle rays because they're kind of unique. We know what they eat and we know where they live, but it's hard to tell how many there are. As right now, scientists don't know if it's just one type of spotted eagle ray or more than one. So right now we see 3, and you might notice how this male here looks a little different because he has lighter spots, and that could mean he's a whole nother species than these other 2 or not. And we just really don't know their whole species tree yet. So right now they are not considered endangered. However, if you split them into more species groups, that may change. So It is very important to learn about these animals so we can help them in the wild. And one of the ways that scientists are actually doing this is you can take pictures of the back of a spotted eagle ray. So I have one right here. If you take a picture of the very back, each spotted eagle ray has a different pattern of spots on their body, and you can put that into a database, and then a computer can tell each individual apart. So every single spotted eagle ray has its own pattern, and then we can tell each one apart, and then we can use that to help count how many there are in the world. And regular people like you can take pictures of them and send them into the database to help out. Spotted eagle rays are a unique stingray other than their spots. They have a snout. So you might have seen Sam touch the snout right at the beginning of the interaction, but you can see it right there. So the snout on the spotted eagle ray is the only one that we have that has a snout, and they use that in nature to dig through the sand to get their food. Here, there's not much digging for their food because we have lovely divers feeding the food to our stingrays all the time. However, they still sometimes do dig their nose into the sand if they want to, if they smell something good. But they have really squishy noses, and the divers really like squishing their noses. It's an affectionate thing with our stingrays, just like that. And then these animals also have a really good sense of smell and taste, just like sharks do, but they can also sense electroreception, so electrical impulses in the water, and that's why they're coming towards Sam. Other than they're very intelligent, they can actually sense that Sam is alive and he has food, and they'll come toward that. And in nature, when they are eating something that's alive and under the sand, you can't really see that, and it's probably not that smelly, so they have to be able to sense the electrical impulses they put out into the water. So that's like a pulse. So if it's alive, it has a heartbeat, and they can sense the heartbeat under the sand and then dig for it to get their food. Our stingrays here are very lucky. They get to be hand-fed. They don't have to go out and hunt. We give them healthy food. We give them vitamins. We look after them if they're sick or if they have babies. And then we also make sure that their habitat is really nice and clean. As you can see, no floating plastic, no garbage, a really nice habitat for our animals. There's also no predators for them to be worried about. And I'm sure you wanted me to talk about this. Spotted eagle rays, just like other stingrays, do have stingers. If you're not aware, a stinger is not this long tail. So these things hanging off the back end of the animals, those are just tails. They have exceptionally long tails. They're beautiful tails. Their barbs are where the tail and the body meet. So when one comes by, I'll get Sam to point it out to you. They're not cooperating right there, right at the very end of their body. So all of our spotted eagle rays have 2 barbs each. Now we trim them down just to make sure that they're safe to touch, and because Sam's in the water and we have other animals living in here that we won't want to get stung. But it's just a venomous barb. It isn't going to kill anything. It's just meant to stun so that the animals can have a quick getaway if they're ever in really, really big danger, like they think they're going to die. Their barbs are serrated, and they are like a big tooth, and they're pointy. So once they go into a predator, they break off, and then they can have a chance to regrow them. This animal is really lucky because each of these ones has 2 barbs, and then we have to keep them trimmed. And that's not even the most that this type of stingray can have. This type of stingray, spotted eagle ray, can actually have up to 4 barbs. So they have so many backup barbs. And one of the reasons for this is this animal happens to be a pelagic ray. So that means it lives in the water column. You can always tell that based on their shape. If it's a diamond-shaped stingray, they live in the water column. Unlike this stinger over here, that's benthic. It's a southern stingray, and they live at the bottom. So that's a circular shaped ray. They always live at the bottom. If you live in the water column, there's more of a chance that you could get eaten by another animal just because you don't hide as well. So they have extra barbs to deal with that. And don't feel too worried about stingrays. They're very, very friendly towards humans. Like especially the ones who are here, they're used to us feeding them. So don't be afraid if you ever come to an aquarium and you have to touch them. They're very safe to touch. Wild ones, just think about them as a wild animal. You don't want to approach them unless they're used to humans. But the barbs on the animals, we do trim them down for safety reasons here at the aquarium, but they're not going to do anything to hurt you. Most people who get injured by stingrays in the wild get injured in their legs. That's because they step on a stingray, and no one really likes being stepped on. But you can just shuffle your feet to avoid stepping on a stingray because they'll just sense you coming because they have that extra sense. They're really amazing at that. And spotted eagle rays, other than those other characteristics I mentioned, their other cool thing that they can do is they can jump. So they don't do it here because I'll show you the whole habitat. So this is our whole stingray habitat. It's not really large enough for them to get enough speed to jump straight out of the water. So they don't do it here, but in the wild, they could easily jump out of the water about 6 feet in the air. So that's like 2 meters. And one of the reasons they do that, we think, is to get rid of parasites that need the water to survive, or maybe just to escape predators. We don't totally know all the reasons for that, but that's one of the reasons they got their name eagle ray, because they look like an eagle and they can also fly like an eagle if they want to. Only for a short distance, though, not a long distance. Obviously, they don't have real wings, but they are excellent swimmers.